Alright guys, welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney. We are picking off where we left off, and last time we cleared ourselves from suspicion because the witnesses were lying and we exposed them. And now we do have Hasanago's son in front of us who posed as the waiter at the restaurant, but it turns out he's an inspector. So let's see what he has to say. I was worried something like this may happen. The moment you asked me to submit my sketch as evidence, I realized it was a possibility.
The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence.
Well...
Is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once.
Of course. Here you are. Yes, I remember now. He did act strangely when the judge asked him to hand over his business card. I strive to carry out all investigations flawlessly. It's my guiding principle. But I let myself be distracted when I made the sketch. It was an unusual, careless mistake.
So you mean to say you really are a detective?
But why would a detective be working as a restaurant waiter? Of course! Your salary must be... I was working undercover. Undercover? Yes, there have been a series of incidents at the restaurant recently. In order to investigate, I decided to get a job there as a waiter, working undercover. Incidents are at the restaurant? What kinds of incidents? That would be classified police information, which I am not at liberty to divulge. However, I can state categorically that they are unrelated to this case of homicide.
Very well then, Inspector Hasanaga, but you will elaborate on one point for the court.
Of course, Your Excellency.
We have just heard new information from the two witnesses beside you. That at the time of the shooting, there was in fact another person present at the victim's table. If that is indeed true, clearly you would also have been aware of this person's presence having served at the table in question. However, your testimony did not allude to this other diner. Therefore, I am led to assume that in your professional capacity as a police officer, you required these witnesses to be in agreement. Would that be correct?
Correct, Your Excellency. Unbelievable! As I suspected. As soon as I heard the gunshot, I ran out of the kitchen to see what had happened. The victim sat slumped in his chair, and beside him, gun in hand, stood the accused student. Sitting opposite the victim at the same table was a young lady, whom I guessed to be an Englishwoman. So the truth comes out. I immediately sealed off the restaurant and reported the incident to the bureau. It was then that I received some special orders. Special orders? You mean to say... Remove the Englishwoman from the scene at once. It was made clear that the Englishwoman's presence at the restaurant was to be concealed. Those were my orders. But if this Englishwoman was the killer? I think it would be in everyone's best interests not to pursue that idea. The empire views the friendly terms of its relationship with Britain more highly than anything at the moment. An Englishman has been murdered on our soil. To name an Englishwoman as the primary suspect, well, without irrefutable evidence, that would be completely out of the question. So that's the reason for the disappearance of the Phantom Woman in this case. But it's not right. One possibility does spring to mind. What do you mean, Kazuma? Yumei University is currently hosting a number of exchange students from Great Britain, and I'm fairly certain that one of them studying in the medical faculty's research laboratory is a young Englishwoman. What? You're a shrewd man. I can see why you're the chosen candidate for the overseas study tour. You mean? When I removed the woman from the scene of the crime, I thought it prudent to check her identity first.
Then the court demands that you name the lady in question at once, Inspector.
The Englishwoman sitting at the university professor's table was a certain Miss Giselle Brett. She is indeed a foreign student studying in the research laboratory of Yumei University's medical faculty.
What? What is happening here?
I admit that under orders from the police bureau, I erased all evidence of this lady's presence at the scene, and ordered these witnesses to make no mention of her in their testimonies. It must not be up to Your Excellency to decide how to deal with this situation.
Very well. My thoughts on the matter are as follows. Thus far, the case presented to the court has been underpinned by a particularly critical premise. Namely, that the victim was dining alone. However, as we have now discovered that this premise is false, it would be a desecration of our justice system to ignore the truth and give a ruling at this point.
Objection! But, Your Excellency, that would mean missing the noon deadline for ruling in order to send the telegraphic report to Great Britain. Our own government will surely be very displeased by such actions.
Calm yourself, Counsel. I will not allow the government of our country or any other to influence the proceedings of my courtroom.
Ah!
Inspector Hosonaga,
Yes, sir?
you will locate this Giselle Brett and escort her to the courtroom with the utmost urgency.
At once, Your Excellency.
But that means you'll be going against the special orders you were given from the police bureau.
As I said before, it is my guiding principle to carry out all investigations flawlessly. So it won't be a problem. Nothing will get in my way.
Court will adjourn briefly. The prosecution must call the English student Giselle Brett to the witness stand. Do I make myself clear?
Yes! Your Excellency!
Good. Then we will have a 30-minute recess before reconvening.
Okay. Maybe I should have made the last part a little longer. Sorry guys, but it was already so long. So let's just do this, save, and carry on. We still have a lot of time for this part. I'm trying to leave it at around 30 minutes. 22nd November, 11:38 AM, Supreme Court of Adjudicature, Defendants, Antechamber 5. Excellent work, Rinosuke. That was superb. My heart was in my mouth the entire time. It was almost unbelievable. I mean, looking at you in there, you were drenched in sweat, your eyes popping, your knees knocking, and you were grinding your teeth. It was a grim sight, but before I knew it, you'd started finding inconsistencies in testimonies. I think you might have a natural talent for being a lawyer. Forget it, it's terrifying. If I get through this, I don't ever want to see the inside of a courtroom again. Anyway, it looks like we've exposed your phantom lady at last. Miss Giselle Brett, a student from Great Britain. Is she? That's what I was trying to tell everyone from the start. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone. There was a young woman with him, like I've been saying all along. Yes, you have, haven't you? I might not be overly confident in the courtroom, but my powers of observation are one thing I am sure of. Yes, I can see that. So, about this young gentlewoman. Thanks to a detective friend, she was hastily escorted away from the scene, it seems. Did you see what happened with that? No, I didn't see any of it. I was just on my way out of the restaurant myself. Then on the floor next to Dr. Wilson's table, I noticed there was a gun lying on the floor, and just after I bent down and picked it up, I didn't have time to think about where the sound of the gunshot had come from. The waiter ran over to me looking as white as a sheet, and he bundled me into some sort of small pantry next to the kitchen. Fast thinking by the detective, he apprehended his suspect without a moment's delay. Yes, and because I was shut in the pantry, I have no idea what happened outside in the dining area. Ah, there you are.
Ah, there you are.
Well done, both of you. Professor Mikotoba!
Well, it seems I was right. The pair of you make an outstanding team. You've exceeded my expectations, I have to say.
Yes, it seems you planned this from the start. You arranged things so that I wouldn't be able to act as a lawyer in this trial.
Our modern country is still in its infancy. Our justice system even more so. Which is why I firmly believe that we need to send our brightest young stars overseas to learn all they can. I wanted to avoid a situation that may have resulted in your study tour to Great Britain being cancelled.
Well, it makes no difference. Lawyer or otherwise, if I'm the kind of man who can't help his best friend avert the worst crisis of his life, I shouldn't waste everyone's time by going to study overseas anyway. What? What are you saying, Kazuma?
So that's your stance. I was afraid you'd feel that way.
Kazuma!
Well then, it looks like it all comes down to you, young man.
To me?
Yes, you need to prove your innocence and uncover what really took place in that restaurant. I must say, I very much want to know the truth. After all, I have a personal connection to this case.
Come to think of it, he said the same thing earlier this morning, didn't he? If you don't mind me asking, Professor, did you know the victim?
Yes, I did. As you're probably aware, Dr. John H. Wilson was a visiting professor at UMA. And it was I who invited him.
Oh, I see.
I didn't know that before. Anyway, you're about to go into battle. The victim was a university professor from Great Britain, and a well-known one at that. Naturally, our government is looking to identify and punish the culprit as quickly as possible. But let's not forget who we're up against. The gentlewoman whose involvement our police bureau went to extraordinary lengths to hide. Yes, and I'm sure the prosecution will be using every tool at their disposal to quash your case. But I have no doubt that your pair will put up a good fight, right to the last. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Now then. I need you to run an errand at the university at once. There's something I think we may need.
Of course. Good luck, Kazuma-sama.
Who is she? Defendant Naruto? Your court recess is over. Please make your way back inside the courtroom at once.
It's time. Let's get back to it, partner. Let's go in there and deal a decisive blow. Before those old fossils know what's hit them.
Kazuma?
What?
Thank you. Really.
What for?
Well, if you hadn't said you believed me, then I'm fairly sure I'd already have been found guilty by now.
Look, I have faith in you. As a lawyer and as a friend.
Coming from you, that means a lot. If I'm found guilty in this trial, he's really going to give up on his dream of studying abroad. That's the kind of true friend he is. So this isn't just my battle anymore. Whoever we're up against, we absolutely cannot afford to lose. All right then. I'll save the thank yous for after the trial. You can treat me to one of those sukiyaki meals I like from Yume Cafeteria on University Street, with an extra large portion, of course.
All right. 22nd November, 12:09 p.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Courtroom 2. Once again. Let's meet that lady.
The court hereby resumes the trial of Inosuke Naruhodo. Prosecutor Aochi, have you managed to subpoena the witness?
Yes, Your Excellency, against all odds. And thanks to a certain young stripling, the prosecution is now under rather painful scrutiny from the government.
Sorry. Let the government scrutinize. That's their job. It's nothing to worry about.
It's highly unlikely that the good relations we've forged with Great Britain will emerge from this trial unscathed. Will you still think it's nothing to worry about when the new treaty breaks down and our nation founders?
Again, terribly sorry. If the friendship between our nations is really so fragile, then the treaty isn't worth the paper it's written on. You really have nothing to worry about, Inosuke.
What do you mean?
A secret trial, anxiety over some foreign government's opinions, a bungled investigation, missing witnesses. Is this what our nation's justice system is? Is this the Supreme Court of Japan or England?
Shut up, you jumped up rookie boy! You and your friend know nothing of the situation our nation finds itself in. By aligning ourselves with the great world power, we'll become strong. Diplomacy has never been more critical. Steady political maneuvering is what will secure our futures.
I won't deny that I'm no expert, I'm just a student, and one who could arguably study harder too. But standing here now in our Supreme Court, there is one thing that I feel very strongly. A
country that fails to uphold the truth in its justice system is a country with no future at all.
Well said, Chronosuke. Despite the wide-eyed look of terror.
You little brats!
Thank you, Council. This court is the pinnacle of our nation's justice system and exists solely for the pursuance of truth. With that in mind, this trial will now resume with the next witness taking the stand. The visiting student from Great Britain, Miss Jezal Brett.
Yes, Your Excellency!
There she is.
Well, what a delight it is to welcome such a fine gentlewoman to Japan, and from such a distant land.
Tea! Someone bring English tea! In England, no discussions take place without tea.
Is that true? No idea.
So, could we possibly trouble you to state your name and occupation for the court?
Of course. My name is Satoru Hosonaga. I have been working undercover as the head waiter at the country.
Yes, we know all about that already.
Inspector Hosonaga, where are your manners? In England, it's always ladies first.
Is that true?
No idea. More importantly, a little earlier today you said something to me. You said your powers of observation are the one thing you're sure of. Oh yes, I think I did, didn't I? Yet your description of this amazing sight was simply a woman. Sorry, Ryunosuke, but powers of observation aside, your powers of description are sorely lacking.
Guilty. So, dear lady, once again, if we may trouble you for your name and occupation, please.
She speaks English, so they don't understand her.
I'm terribly sorry, dear lady, but what?
The lady says her name is Jezal Brett. She comes from London, England. She's a visiting research student currently enrolled in UMA University's medical faculty.
Oh my, what a rare treat to hear the dulcet tones of the delightful language of the British people. I'm afraid I don't understand a word you said, but it was as beautiful as hummingbird's song.
As far as I could tell, the detective is translating her words faithfully enough.
Yes, I agree. You're obviously too fine in England, Kazuma. Her English doesn't really rattle you at all, does it?
Nor you. You've clearly been paying attention in your English classes, Ryunosuke.
The court thanks the beautiful lady for taking the stand. Now, if we may trouble you to confirm something, Miss Brett. 3 days ago, at a restaurant called La Carnival, a grim murder took place. The court has been led to believe that you were dying there with the victim, Dr. Wilson, at the time. Is that correct?
She says, yes. This could take some time. So even though she's studying here in Japan, she can't speak any Japanese? She'd like to apologize for disappearing from the scene. She says that she was due to make a presentation at the university, so she had to leave immediately. Interesting when you're the one who engineered her escape. I was just following special orders from the Bureau.
Well now, dear lady, would you be so kind as to cast your eyes over this photographic print? Seeing as you were so unfortunately present at the scene of the crime, could it be that your resplendent eyes caught sight of the wicked perpetrator, perhaps?
Apparently it was a very frightening and sorrowful sight.
Do you mean to say?
Yes, it would appear the lady did witness the crime. The very moment when the accused, standing right there in this courtroom, shot the victim in cold blood. I'm just gonna check out history for a second. Okay, we can scroll through. Okay, alright. Okay. Oh, I forgot to. Okay, sorry guys. Did you hear?
Did you hear that, Your Excellency? Here we have an absolute conclusive witness statement.
Well, it looks like it's clear now. Clear who our real enemy is.
Unfortunately, I will have to ask you formally testify, if you please. Kindly tell the court the exact nature of this frightening and sorrowful sight you described.
A frightening and sorrowful sight. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beef steak. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor, and they got into a fierce argument. Then, not long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit.
This is a condemning statement indeed.
No, I didn't have any kind of argument with the professor at all.
Quiet, you filthy wretch. Look at you, you black-hearted blackguard, and look at this snow-white angel. I'm sure even a dark-minded scoundrel like you can imagine whose words the court is going to believe.
You're still making the same mistakes, Ryunosuke. You mustn't blurt out when you're goaded like that. That's a lesson you need to learn. But he's so annoying. Of course, I was at the scene as well. I took statements from this lady and the two witnesses who testified before and reported back to the Bureau. It was decided that Miss Brett was not involved, so I let her go. The testimonies of the last two witnesses were completely worthless, however. Well, even so, on the day in question, the lady was wearing the same outfit as she is today. As you can see, there is nowhere about her person where she could conceal a firearm. I would think she could hide a gun almost anywhere in that outfit if she wanted to.
Unless and until the precise location where the witness is to have hidden a weapon can be shown, this is moot.
There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. Those are the witness's own words on the matter. That's ridiculous. If only I was allowed to lift up her dress, I could prove it. You perv. Don't think about doing anything rash, Ryunosuke. But I didn't fire the gun I picked up. There must have been another gun there that day. You're right about that, which means this lady was hiding a gun somewhere. Yes, That's what we have to prove now. And to do so, we will need to pull her testimony apart.
The defense may now cross-examine the witness.
Oh, yes, Your Excellency.
So here is the cross-examination, but sorry guys, I don't want to stress out the time for episodes any longer like I did with the last one. So right about now we're at a half-hour mark. So I'm going to end the episode here. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time when we cross-examine the frightening lady over here.